Welcome to the Girlspring Women in the Arts podcast. This project is made possible by the Alabama State Council on the Arts and is a partnership between the Birmingham-based teen girls empowerment platform, Girlspring, and C. Jane Write, a website and community for women who write. This podcast gives the young women of Girlspring the opportunity to interview women from a wide range of arts fields, including literature, theater, dance, visual arts, and fashion. In this episode, Girlspring Springboarder Jaina Burrell interviews activist and filmmaker T. Marie King. T. Marie is an Emmy and NAACP Image Award nominated film producer, director of Youth Pathways and Experiences at Jones Valley Teaching Farm, and a highly sought-after consultant who specializes in issues of equity. Her work includes Shuttlesworth, a critically acclaimed documentary on the civil rights icon Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. Jaina Burrell is a homeschool rising senior who strives to use her creativity to inspire other teens and kids to believe in their dreams. At a very young age, Jaina is already an author, actress, singer, dancer, and entrepreneur. Let's listen to her talk with T. Marie King.
All right, everybody. Hello. My name is Jaina Burrell. I'm here on the mic with Miss T. Marie King. Oh my goodness. It is such an honor to meet you in person. I've heard so much about you, so we just wanted to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here, and it's good to meet you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to hop right into
Go for it. Let's do this.
All right, so my first question is, how did you get interested in film?
I've always wanted to be a filmmaker since I was 8 years old. First time I saw The Muppets Take Manhattan, which is probably way before your time. But the first time I saw that, I was like, that's what I want to do. And that's just always been a passion. I love telling stories. I'm 80s kid, so I grew up on all of the PBS, educational television, Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street, Muppet Babies, all that stuff. And I'm a big fan of Jim Henson and his work. And I just love how educational programming was utilized to teach people. The older I got, I became more interested in documentaries because I love learning about people's stories, kind of what got them there, what they overcame. And that was kind of what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a part of putting good programming out. But yeah, 8 years old, Kermit the Frog was kind of the entry into filmmaking. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I also really love film, so this is like really fun.
Yeah, so this will be a fun conversation.
Yes, ma'am. And also my dad does love like learning about history of people, you know, documentaries, different things like that. So that's really a good avenue to pursue. And what are some of the first steps that you take when producing a film?
Oh, that's a real good question. I think for me, once I know what the story is that I'm telling, well, if it's not, even if it is nonfiction, it's understanding what is it that you're trying to convey. And so like I'm currently working on a project now where I wanted to highlight a particular demographic that I feel has been ignored. And so I need to find out and do research about who that demographic was and build the story around them. Another example I can give you is, producing a documentary on Reverend Shuttlesworth. I feel like I benefited by not knowing him ahead of time because I had no biases. And sometimes when there's a particular subject that we have a bent towards, I'm going to tell all the good and all of that, and let's make it in the best light. I went into Shuttlesworth thinking, let's just tell the best story, unbiased. This is what it was. This is why he was in Birmingham. This is how he was utilized, and give people just that history. So for me, it's understanding what the subject matter is, doing the research, and then sometimes usually if it's a story that's timely, it almost tells itself. And I think a good artist listens as well as doing their research and kind of let the story take shape on its own.
All right, that was a really valuable answer. Yeah, that is really important. And I love how you said you did it with unbiased, reactions and into creating the film and different things. And that's really special. So you can give that raw, authentic, not adding, well, I think this is this and I think this is that, just the true story.
Absolutely. And that's what people want, especially if you're doing a documentary. and you have people alive that were there, so they can easily say, that's not how that happened. And so it's a blessing that we were able to tell Shuttlesworth in the way we did. And I actually met a woman, I was doing a screening it was in Florida, it might have been Jacksonville. And there was a lady in the audience that raised her hand, and she was like, well, I'm from Birmingham. I was born and raised in Birmingham. I was in Birmingham. I was a teenager at that time. And you told the story right. And so that was very valuable to have somebody who you don't know to look at it and was like, no, that's exactly what happened. So that's a feather, I guess you could say, in your cap of, okay, I actually did this accurately.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And my next question for you is, how did you want the Shuttlesworth film to impact your career and impact others?
I think the impact on my career was I didn't want to be known as the person who messed up the Fred Shuttlesworth story. That I did not want, because it was the first time somebody had actually done a film on him. He's been mentioned in other civil rights films, but there's never been a film dedicated to him. So I did not want to be known as the person who messed it up. But I was more concerned about telling a story that his family would be proud of, was probably where my nerves was kind of living. So even at the premiere, like 3 of his 4 children were there. His grandkids were there, great grandkids were there. So I was more nervous about how they were going to respond versus was it actually done well? And to kind of look at them at the premiere and they're like they only had one critique, and the critique wasn't even anything with the film. It was like, oh, actually, Daddy's name is this and not this. And we was like, oh, we can fix that before it airs. So it's like, I'll take that minor note for the family. But that was really the only note they gave us it's like, his name is spelled this way and not this way. And it was just like, no problem. So being able to be like, the family approved it, people in the community, foot soldiers that were around at that time, like, you can't beat that.
Oh, wow. That is perfect, actually. Getting an approval from his family.
Yeah.
What?
And that's hard because they were hard to convince. They were hard to convince. They were not very eager for it. Even when we went to Cincinnati, they were just like, what y'all doing? A story about what? And so even just having to build relationships. And I think that's something I think all artists can do a better job of, is a lot of times we have the idea of what we want to do, and it's just like focus in, zero in on, we're going to accomplish this goal. And I see it the same way in my community work, is that you got to build trust with people. And we were trying to be very intentional of letting the family know, like, we want to tell this story, but we also want to make sure you all feel good about what we're trying to tell as well. Yeah.
And I absolutely think that's great, because sometimes people may feel like if someone else is trying to come in and like interfere with the history of it, and then that's their family member, they want it to be told right. And I can see how they were apprehensive.
Absolutely.
So it's really great that you built that trust with them, and that you were able to get it through, and that they're like, wow, this is actually great. And it is really important for artists, building trust in different things in many areas, physically, mentally, emotionally. Building trust with others is so important.
Absolutely. It's the key. I think that also leads to longevity in your career, is if you're really willing to take the time to build trust, because people know what to expect from you, and not letting it be just transactional. We could have easily went to Cincinnati or went to wherever we went to interview people and be like, hey, we just need to get this interview from you. But it was like, no, we want to put something in the earth that honors this person, because, I remember one of his daughters said, we stopped buying history books because Daddy wasn't in them. And we know if Daddy is not in the history books, then they're not telling the accurate story of the civil rights movement, because he has to be a part of that story. So I'm just glad we were able to do our little piece in honoring his legacy and the work he did in Birmingham, that not only benefited Birmingham, but also, I think, benefited the world.
And those are great seeds to be sowing just in history, just especially with the things that you're doing. So I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
My next question for you is, how do you seek to educate young children and adults today?
I think it depends. Like, when I think about maybe just history in general, I think sometimes you have to make it applicable. I think sometimes it could be seen as boring, because it's like, oh my God, that happened so long ago, but it's like, no, those things that happen actually inform the things that happen today. And so I think it's breaking it down on children or young people's level to see, like, no, this is actually how this is impacting you. And then with adults, I think it's having the exact same conversation, helping them understand why they have to take an active role in civic engagement, right? And I think when you see things like civics being removed from school curriculums, that it's like, okay, well, we don't have to depend on the schools. The library is free. Y'all have Google. There's other ways of getting information, can educate. I think also utilizing the arts is a great way to do that. I've had friends of mine, kids who are like in the single digits say, I really enjoyed your film. And I'm like, that's major for, an elementary school child. I did have one critique. I had one friend's kid who said I should have had more pictures. And I was like, I get it. I'll do better next time. But for an elementary school age child to say, I understood it and this is what I got out of it, you're doing your job. And I think it's just really not watering history down or watering down what's happening today. I think it's helping young people or people in general understand this is what it means, this is how it impacts us, but also this is the action you can take to be involved in us not repeating history, but also us moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so cool. A young, single digit child telling you, like they liked your film.
It was interesting because I was like, people were like, can I bring my kids? And I was like, yeah, I guess.
Right,
Yeah, I don't think it's not for kids. And one of my friend's kids, and I'm gonna shout him out, Martin Everett, his school was showing Remember the Titans for Black History Month. And he was not amused. And I think at the time, Martin Everett was probably maybe 11, maybe 12. And he told his teacher, he's like, my mom's friend did a documentary on Reverend Shuttlesworth, and that's what we should watch instead. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about, Martin Everett, tell your teachers. But it impacted him. Like, this is a child that's 11 or 12 years old to say, no, we don't need to watch this football movie. Right. We actually need to watch this film that's actually about the history of our city. Like, we should watch that. And I think that said a lot for what we were able to accomplish, that no history is too enormous for a young child to understand.
Wow, that is really great. Oh my goodness. I love that, hearing how like even the children are getting just impacted by these great films, and that like can inspire you to make more really great historical films and documentaries, and inspire children to learn more about the history of the city.
I think we've seen across history how one person led something, an initiative, or pushed something forward. You see that with Shuttlesworth in Birmingham. You see that with the young people who marched, like young people can make a difference. And I think it's us as adults, I think the job is on us to make sure we give young people agency over their own voice in order to speak up on their behalf. Because throughout this whole nation, we have watched young people make a difference, whether it's in Birmingham during the Children's Crusades, whether it's the young people in Standing Rock or Stand Your Ground. Like, we've seen young people show up and say, no, this is not okay. We want to see something different. So I encourage young people to know that they can make a difference, have agency over your voice, and, now is always the right time for change.
That's a great message. My next question for you is, how do you, because, I'm also a part of Girlspring, and, we're all about like empowering girls and women. How do you desire to inspire women and young girls?
Oh, that's a good one. I just hope my life can be a reflection that you can follow your dreams and pursue your passion and still operate in purpose, because I feel like I'm doing both now. I don't feel like I was at one time where my passion is filmmaking. I feel like the purpose work that I do right now is the work that I do around social justice. And now I'm starting to see where they both can merge together and both be utilized through film, through other artistic expressions. So I would hope that young girls could see me and say, I can do the things I enjoy as well. And I think people think, whatever it may be, or music, it's not going to make you money. My family was like, where are you going to do film at? And I'm a 90s teenager, graduated, and there was nowhere to study film in the South. And it was, you know what? No, I really feel this burning. I'm going to follow it. And I think we have to learn how to trust our own voice and our own gut. Even when your folks are like, I don't have money for that, or how are you going to make money doing that? And it's like, if that's something that you're destined to do, you're going to do it. So pursue your passions. I get you have to have a job, but pursue your passion. And I think the more you pursue your passion, eventually you'll be able to make money doing it.
Those are good little nuggets there. Yeah. Like honestly, with that, like there can be a lot of doubts. People can sometimes have doubts from other people coming in or just doubts from themselves, but really trusting your gut and just following those dreams, that can take you so far.
Absolutely. You know, I'm a big fan of we don't entertain dream killers. And I think people who are dream killers are people who have lost their dream. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
And so don't allow somebody to kill your vision. Because this is the thing about vision. The vision that you have for your life, like if you believe God has given you a vision for a particular thing, whether that's writing, whether that's poetry, whether it's film, whatever it is, of course, nobody else is going to see that because he gave it to you. And I think too often, sometimes because we're excited, we're so eager to share our dreams with other people. And people may be discovering theirs, or they may not have fulfilled their dreams. And so it's just like, oh, don't get into that. You'll never do blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you for your advice. Appreciate you. And you keep it moving.
Right.
And we can't allow dream killers to kill that, you know, because that however they feel has nothing to do with you. And so sometimes you have to protect your vision. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so important to protect your vision.
Absolutely.
Protect your destiny.
You have to.
There are destiny thieves out there.
Yes.
There are destiny pirates out there. And God has a plan for your life, so you gotta follow it.
You better.
You gotta follow it. Don't let those dream killers come and take your dreams away.
No, you ain't gonna have me in heaven. He talking about now. Didn't I tell you?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, well, what had happened was you gonna be like, no, you were supposed to do this because I believe there's people on our paths that we're destined to connect with. And if we're not following our path the way we're supposed to follow, then we're not going to connect with the people that we're supposed to connect with, you know, and that doesn't mean they're going to be lifelong people with you. You may be there just to spark something. You know what I'm saying?
That's
you know, what I tell the young people I work with, and no pun intended, because my day job is at a teaching farm. But I always tell my young people, I say, there are seeds you plant, there are seeds you water, and there are seeds you receive the harvest, right? And the only place it happens in one location is on a farm. But I can plant seeds with people that I don't have to water, that I may never see the harvest on. Or I may come into somebody's life and I'm just there to water seeds that have already been planted. And then I may meet some people where I get to benefit from the harvest of seeds that other people have planted and other people have watered. And I think we have to be open to receiving harvest from wherever it comes, but that only comes by us walking in our destiny, in our purpose, following our vision. That's the only time that can happen. And we just have to make sure we don't allow people to steal that, what is that? Pirates of your, we got to make sure we keep eyes out for those folks. You love them, but sometimes you got to love them for a distance. But not allowing people to destroy your seeds is so important.
Yes, that is so important. I think everybody needs to hear this, to be honest. This is really good. So can you tell us a little bit about TAPS now? Like we just said, you know, that is information still in the works and we want to keep that private. That is absolutely okay. But if you would like to, about the thing you're working on, that project, would you like to share anything?
Sure, I can. So TAPS I have ventured into playwriting now. So TAPS really kind of came out of me processing grief. So back in 22, my dad passed. And this was actually around the time I was finishing up Shuttlesworth. But me and my sister, we didn't grow up with our father. Very complicated relationship is the nicest way to put it. But we were faced with a situation in early 22 where we ended up having to take care of him. And it ended up being over the course of the last 7 months of his life. We just didn't realize. Probably about 4 months in, we realized what direction it was going in. And so we were really placed in a situation where we were caring for somebody who did not necessarily deserve it, but it was the right thing to do, right? So after, you know, his passing and kind of getting through all of that, I kind of got to a place where I was like, I should probably talk to somebody. You know, I probably need to process all of this because I was finishing filming Shuttlesworth. We finished it, we premiered it. It aired on television. We go into 23, we get nominated for an Emmy. So it's like on this high, but I'm still kind of like in this funk, but not really sure where it was coming from, and realize I probably ain't processed this yet. But a I'm not saying that anybody should do what I did, but I just did not want to personally, I went in the mood to go see a counselor. So I said, well, I'm going to write. So this is just kind of my effort to kind of put out to the world an opportunity to say there's forgiveness, there's redemption, and there's wholeness for you after those type of traumatic experiences.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what TAPS is about. So I'm working on raising money now. I want to do a full production of it. So hopefully coming soon. Yeah.
Wow. I think you're doing really great work.
Thank you.
And that is really great.
Thank you.
Just all the work that you're doing. And let's see. Who are the people who inspire or inspired you in what you do?
Oh, that's a real good one. See, the people that inspire me are so diverse. So, of course, my family, my mom, my sister, my grandmother, they have inspired me in how I show up in community. Integrity-wise, how I treat people, I'm definitely a giver because of my grandmother and just watching how she led her life. When I think artistically, people like Debbie Allen, I grew up on Debbie Allen and A Different World, Felicia Rashad, and Suzanne DePaz, other people outside of the artistic. I also played sports in high school, so I'm a big Dawn Staley fan who just got a statue dedicated to her. I'll probably say my hero is probably FloJo, so I was a big FloJo fan growing up. So I'm kind of all over the place, big fan of Toni Morrison as well as August Wilson. So definitely a lot of arts inspiration in there, but I love people who go against the grain and kind of break barriers in their own way. But I'm also inspired by young people and folks I just see doing not necessarily incredible things, but just like incredible things for them or for their community, or just how they've overcome certain situations. Those things are also inspiring.
Yeah, those are a lot of great names, faces.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And I also do really like those people you mentioned as well. So my next question for you is, what was something that helped you to be confident in yourself?
Something that helped me be confident in myself. I think I've always kind of gone against the grain. I was always the oddball in the family, the weird one that was into film and Disney and all of that. For me, I've always marched to the beat of my own drum. So I think some of that was kind of innate. It was just already there. I think also we lose bits of it as we get older and have different experiences. So I think every year I kind of regain a different level of confidence as I get older. You know, in my 30s, I was vibing a little different. I'm in my 40s now. So that is a different vibe as well. I think I've gotten more confident, but just in different ways as I get older. But I think trusting yourself and knowing this, I'm doing what exactly I need to be doing right now, I think it's also a confidence booster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. My next question for you is, what are 3 words to describe yourself and why?
3 words to describe myself. I think a storyteller, faithful, and character. Yeah. I'm big on character, and I'm the type of person that will walk away if I think my character would be in question. And I think sometimes people aren't confident to leave. Like I've left jobs because I'm like, I don't like what y'all doing.
Right.
And I don't want nobody thinking I feel this way. So I've walked away from jobs, and it didn't make sense to people all the time. But I didn't want anybody to ever question my character or integrity. So I would say, yeah, I think those 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Character is really important, and building character and having a good character. You know, you're the main character in your life, just in general. And I just think that it's important. Just
Absolutely.
Yeah. My last question for you today is, what is the number 1 piece of advice you wish you could give your younger self? And what advice would you give girls today?
I actually wouldn't give my younger self any advice.
Okay.
I wouldn't, because I don't think I would get here if I hadn't had the experiences that I had. Good, bad, indifferent. I don't think I would be here having this conversation with you if I hadn't walked through the different things that I had to walk through and experience. So I wouldn't give my I wouldn't go back in time and be like, hey, T. Marie, don't do this. I wouldn't do that. It's just like, you just got to go through it. You'll come out on the other side. What advice would I give to young people, young women today? Put one foot in front of the other. Keep moving forward. Life will always be life. Life is gonna life. And it will be hard sometimes. And sometimes it'll be amazing. And I think understanding the importance of putting one foot in front of the other in the hard times, just like you do in the good times, in the celebratory moments, when they're challenging, even when it's hard to lift your foot up, still put it down on the ground. And then you lift that other one up and put that one down. And I think the more we encourage people, because I think people are real good at saying, oh, when it's good, it's good. And we outside and we this and we whatever. But a lot of times people don't take the time to express to people. When you hear somebody, there's a saying where people are like, oh, this person is an overnight success, you know, and then that person might say, well, it was a long night. We don't spend enough time talking about those long nights and how young people, young women have to endure to make it through the long nights to wake up in the day. And I think when we shy away from those types of conversations, we do those that are coming behind us a disservice. And so my encouragement to young women is put one foot in front of the other, whether it's good times or whether it's challenging times.
Wow. I just think you're just awesome.
Thank you. You're so awesome.
Much. Thank you. Oh my gosh. You are so inspiring. Just the things you're doing and just these words of wisdom are really important for girls and people today, you know? And I just think that's really great. So I'm just so happy to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And that is the end of our podcast episode. Thank you.